one that's in the vise right now is probably the simplest beetle of all to tie. Now, I guess I was like everybody else. I first started with a Crow Beetle, and I was never really happy with the Crow Beetle, although I caught an awful lot of fish with it. I tied it in brown, I tied it in black. But the problem with the Crow Beetle was that it was tied with deer hair, and it tore up so quickly that after 2 or 3 fish, it just looked like a haystack that a hand grenade had gone off in. So I began tying with foam. Since then, foam is just about all I use. It's incredibly durable. Flotation is excellent. The colors you can get in any color you want. And I just find that for my purposes, foam works a lot better than anything else that's available on the market. This beetle is called the Disc O Beetle. The reason I call it the Disc O Beetle is that the body is nothing but one little disc of foam. Just one little circle cut out of a piece of 1/16 inch foam. And this is what the thing looks like in the final product. So you take a look at that, and then we're going to tie this and show you how it's done. And I think you'll be pleased at how easy this fly is to tie, how quickly it goes, and what the end product is going to be. Now the foam disc I use is going to look something like this. And you'll have to pardon me if I hit this little camera every now and then, because it just kind of gets in the way with some of these procedures. These foam discs that I use are cut out of a piece of sheet foam. It's a 1/16 inch foam. It's about like this. You can get it in every color imaginable: blue, green, brown, tan, black. You name it, there's a color out there. The way I cut these discs out is to use a set of cutters that I got from a biological supply house. These are called cork borers. If you want to order some, you can get them from Fisher or Ward's or any other biological supply house, but probably the easiest thing to do is simply go to your local hobby shop or craft store or someplace like that and buy some brass cylinders, brass tubes. You can get these in any size you want. These run all the way from 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch in 1/16 inch increments, and they're ideal for cutting out these little circles. But you can use anything that can be sharpened that comes in a circular tube. The way I sharpen these is to use a little item that I get from a gun shop. This is called a case chamfering tool or a case deburring tool. It's hardened steel. It's got one end that's conical in shape. The other end is sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, but that's what it looks like. The way to sharpen your brass tubes is to simply take this, put it inside, give it a few turns, and then take the outside and give it a couple of turns like that. You'll put a razor edge on this brass stock, and with that in mind, just take your sharpened brass tube and your piece of foam. You notice I'm cutting this on a little piece of material here. This is the material that artists and draftsmen put on their drawing boards. It's a self-healing material. So you just take your cutter, put it down on the foam, and give it a little twist. And you've got a circle cut out, a little disc, and that's where we get the name of this fly. This little set of cutting tubes comes with a sort of little item here that you can just reach down in there and pop that circle out, and there we go. So this is a circle that's been cut. There's another one next to it, and that's what I'm going to use to tie the body of this fly. It's about as simple a procedure as you can get. So what we do here, and this is tied on a standard dry fly hook. In this case, for that size circle is a size 14 hook, just standard Teamco 100 down eye hook. If you want to, you can tie these beetles bigger or smaller. It just depends on the diameter of the circle that you're going to use. So you've got your circle cut. The only other thing we need is a little peacock herl, little fiber, just peacock herl like this, and some material for the wing, which I'll tell you about when we get to it. It looks something like that. It's just a synthetic ribbon that I will use to tie the wing in with. To do this fly, first thing you do is simply wrap the shank of the hook. I'm going to have to put my magnifiers down, so you'll pardon me, I'll get those in position. Start up at the front the way you normally do. attach the thread to the hook and just trim away the trash. Bring the thread all the way to the rear. Once you've got it just about to the bend of the hook, I'm going to bring the thread forward just a little bit. The body is going to be formed from peacock herl. 3 or 4 strands of peacock herl is all you need. I'll cut those loose and trim the tips so that they're even. With peacock herl, I always tie the tips in rather than the butt. I find that when I wrap it, the peacock herl is going to just fuzz out beautifully. It's going to give me a nice fuzzy body. I'm going to bring that thread now all the way up to the eye of the hook and then wrap the peacock herl. That's going to give me the underbody for this fly. It's going to have a nice iridescent color to it, a lot of flash. Fish love it, and that's why I use so much peacock herl in my patterns. I just don't think that there's anything that even comes close. Bring that herl all the way up to the eye of the hook. When you get to that point, tie it off. Just a couple of wraps, and trim away the excess. With peacock herl, I make a point of simply wrapping the thread back through the herl and then forward again, which is going to reinforce that herl. Fish takes it, the teeth will cut that stuff, and it will fray out. But if you do this technique with this thread wrap through the herl, it won't happen at all. The foam disc is then laid down on the top of the hook shank so that the front of the disc is just about even with the eye of the hook, the back of the eye of the hook. The thread is brought back to about that point. Lay the foam disc down, make a loose wrap, and then tighten that up. Give it about 5 or 6 wraps, and you couldn't ask for a quicker, easier beetle body. That's all there is to putting the body on the fly. The next step is simply to put some wings on. For the wings, I use this Kreinick ribbon. It's number 850. It's called Mallard, and it's a beautiful iridescent color. I think you can see that with no trouble at all. I'll just cut a piece of that material, get that out of the way. Then on one side of the fly, I'll just lay this material in position, a little bit protruding forward, tie it down. Then trim the wing just about even with the back of the body. Trim it on this side, then rotate the fly a little bit. I'll square off that material and tie in the other wing. Give it a few wraps. Trim it so that it's about the same length as the other wing, and whip finish the fly. You can kind of poke that body up a little so it fills out. Take your whip finisher and just finish the fly. Throw a few wraps and pull it tight. Finally, once you get those wings in place, you can use the tips of your scissors or needle or anything like that. Just fray the wings out, kind of fuzz them out a little bit. That won't be any problem at all. And there's your finished fly. That's the Disc O Beetle. I've fished this a lot. I've also tied in all sorts of different colors: brown, black, yellow, orange, green. Doesn't seem to matter. Some colors work better on some days than others. One day you might have good luck on a black one, the next day a light tan one. So don't be afraid to tie this fly in a lot of different colors and fish it frequently. I guarantee you it'll produce for you.